Hey everyone, I am about to share with you around 7 to 8 probably hours of content in 10 minutes. So the idea was to share with you the code along on the official tutorial for Ember, but yeah, it took me a lot longer than I expected. In between talking to the mic and writing the code, then reading and all those things, I guess I miscalculated that part. But what you're about to see is pretty much what you would see if you were sitting right next to me while I was following the tutorial. So without further ado, let's get going. The first thing I did was to get a feel for the application. So you can tell here that I am clicking on the finished app. I'm trying to see what the features are and how they work to kind of know where I'm going with the tutorial. So I was already familiar with some of the things because of the quick start. This is a little bit embarrassing because I couldn't get Tumster to display, and I noticed way later on that I needed to change my folder structure a little bit. So yeah, that can happen to even the most experienced developers. Things like that happen all the time. So I kept on following the tutorial during my morning and afternoon kind of free spots in time where I usually do other kinds of things. I started learning this and following, like I said, the tutorial. Like you can tell here, it was a very nice experience. I cannot complain a little bit about that. It was very nice to read very well explained paragraphs and to see these diffs between the code that you needed to replace with a new one. Being able to have the tests running all the time and get them tell you what was missing and some things that you could change in there. So that was good. I liked that flow, and it's not something I'm very used to. I usually do my tests after the fact and not during. And this was a good approach. I won't most likely switch everything I do to be TDD or anything, but I enjoyed it. Okay, so you can tell now that I found a little bit of a typo in one of the paths, and I issued a pull request there to kind of fix it. Then I moved on and continued creating the application. So in a few seconds, you will hear a little bit of the follow-up on that. After a couple days that I started, there's a part where you need to get a hold of an Mapbox API key, and I sent a request for that as well as the PR that you saw. So let's hear what happened. All right, so I was waiting for the Mapbox email, for the verification email, but it hasn't arrived. What did arrive was this email with a notification for this issue that I opened. They say, thank you, but I don't want like just that typo fixed. I want the entire issue to be fixed if you wanna contribute. So this is the issue, and it's well documented. They have lots of different changes that need to be made. Mostly is making the links to the proper locations. So yeah, here's the typo that I was fixing, but like you can tell, they want kind of like the whole package, and I don't really have time for that, so I'm gonna have to decline on that. Keep that closed. It's not a big deal for anyone. So yeah, I just wanted to mention that. So yeah, being times for the Hacktoberfest and things like that, I guess that would be a better fit for a pull request. Like I mentioned, it's not a big deal. It was just the path that was not correctly displayed on the tutorial. But moving on, Something I have noticed from Ember, and I think something that we already discussed in the previous video on the comments there while I was premiering it, is that the templating system, the template engine, is it has a little bit of a learning curve. You need to kind of learn it as a language itself, because it has a lot of different features and it's powerful, but you do need to kind of learn it first if you want to do something beyond the hello world, which is what you're doing here. So some things kind of clicked at the moment, but then I kind of forgot about them, and I didn't really create that connection in my brain. So I'm gonna have to keep on trying and learning the templating system itself. Another thing that I found is that I'm not very used to the class syntax for JavaScript. I've been doing Angular.js and then learning Vue on my own, and neither of those particularly needs the class syntax for the code. So this was interesting to me, because not being used to it kind of meant that I needed to adjust a little bit to that. But in the end, JavaScript is the same, so there's not that much of a difference really. And something I thought about was that it was actually good, because it made me better at switching the context, because the difference between like doing Ember with class syntax and then Vue with just the functions and the objects themselves makes it for a different context to be in. And I think that's a good thing for me, at least, to not get confused in between those, and to have clear separation in between what they do and how they do it. So I learned stuff like the splat attributes and having models. I also learned stuff for the event handling and the provider components. Things like that were interesting, were different from what I'm used to. Not everything was too different, but there were obviously some differences in there. So yeah, I liked having this kind of experiment on my own. You can tell here that as time progresses, I actually made the VS Code background a little bit darker, and I think I liked it better than the kind of little bit brighter red background. It was a very good experience. I can tell you that. Even though I had to drop a couple of other things that I was working on at the moment, having this was refreshing for me. It was something different, something I was feeling my brain, working, learning new things. And even though I cannot tell you that I can rewrite the whole application on my own without looking at anything else, I cannot do that. But I can certainly feel a little bit more comfortable with, being in a code base that has a little bit of Ember, maybe, or rather, I can understand a little bit of Ember now, and like I said, it took me a little while to complete the tutorial, the whole thing. I think there's a point where I actually restarted one of the steps. I rolled back all my changes in Git and then started over because I didn't quite understand that part. So that happened as well. And so I hope you like this time lapse. I don't really know what you would get out of it other than my experience with Ember, how I felt doing this first official tutorial code along. And yeah, props to the Ember community. You have a really good framework to work with.
I don't usually just grab a technology and start learning it out of the blue. I had a reason for this, but if you are interested in knowing maybe some other framework, some other thing that you would like me to, make a time lapse on, I could probably do that. Leave me a comment.
Thanks for watching. Bye.